Now, when I'm designing a structural thing like this, I like to start at the bottom and work my way up because I just find the logic works well for me like that. So I want to start with connecting the base to the leg here. And I spoke with engineering, and we've decided that we don't care how much this thing is going to cost. This is a magnanimous Dan product. We are not going to let cost stand in the way of awesome. So basically, this stand is going to be cast in the first place and then machined down. We can turn it on a lathe to get the rest of this looking really nice, and then we can finish it really beautifully. This piece right here, actually, we're also going to cast and machine. We're going to have to CNC machine it, but because we built this with a perfectly vertical shaft, we will be able to cast it, which is nice. And we're not going to make it hollow like this, though. It's actually going to be a big, expensive, solid chunk of material. Let's open this part up. Now, the way that we built this was to make it hollow, right? We created a shell feature here to shell this out, and that's kind of what we want. We just don't want this middle part. And by the way, I'm finding it a little bit difficult to see what's going on. Sometimes the chrome gets really annoying to look at. If you go up here to the heads-up display at the top, drop that down, turn off Real View Graphics, a lot of times you'll be able to see a lot better, and you can always bring those pretty graphics back if you want. Now, anyway, we want to change this. We want to get rid of this hole in here, and that's really actually quite easy to do. In the Direct Editing tab at the top, you can go to Delete Face, and click on the faces you want to remove. And in the options, rather than delete, which would just simply get rid of those faces completely and it becomes an open surface body, let's edit that feature. And instead of just delete, we want to do what's called delete and patch. What delete and patch will do is get rid of those faces and then try to extend the existing surfaces to fill any holes that happen as a result. And in this case, it should have no problem doing that. So now if we look at a section view, we have a perfectly solid chunk of material. Just like that. One feature, and our part is no longer hollow. Really nice. Now, to connect this, let's close this back up and go back to our assembly. So now I'd like to connect the base to the leg using a little stem that's going to stick straight up. And since that stem geometry is going to be used in two different parts in our model, we're going to want to add that to our master model. That way, that geometry will be available to us in both documents. So let's go to our master model, open that up, and I'm in a side view, which looks good. I'm going to zoom in here, go to my right plane and create a sketch. And in this sketch, I will create a center line down the middle, something like this. I'm also going to create then a profile that goes something like so. It's going to go straight down and then into this bottom piece and over and right back up. Okay, perfect. And I'll grab my top plane. I'm going to make this point coincident with that. And let's add some dimensions. Now I'm going to make this stem a 1/2 inch diameter, and I'm using inches because McMaster-Carr favors inch machine parts, and that's what I'm looking at for reference right now. So let's make this a 1/4 inch, and to do that, I just say 1/4 inches, IN, hit enter, which gives me 6.35 millimeters. It's done the conversion for me on the fly, which is really nice. Also, on top of this, let's make the distance from the top plane to here. We'll call that 0.75 inches, or 3/4 of an inch. That looks fine. So we're going to have a nice big stem sticking up here. Next, we'll do another dimension from the top plane down to here, and we'll make this one smaller. Let's make this 1/8 inch. And just for giggles, let's actually just say we want for the length of this to be equal to the length of that. That'll just be a nice quick way of adding that dimension. So these are both 1/8 of an inch. Perfect. So that's going to be the connection between these two pieces of metal. But I would like for this one to be drafted outward a little bit. So let's grab a line. I'll go out like this. Grab my top plane. This point, we'll make those coincident. I'm going to change this one to construction geometry and add an angle dimension between those. We'll call this, I don't know, 15 degrees. So we have a nice big draft there, and hit OK. All right, so this is what's going to create our stem on our two pieces of geometry. Now we can head into each one of those parts respectively and create the actual geometry that's going to connect these guys together.